Welcome to the From Concealment Podcast, the show for firearm enthusiasts who like to shoot, train, carry, and compete. Get ready for some shooting and sight, firearm and accessory reviews, and of course, insight on concealed carry. And now, broadcasting from behind enemy lines in the From Concealment studio, it's Pete Mitchell and Dan Sams.
Hey, Freedom Nation, this is Pete Mitchell.
And I'm not a Fed.
So, Dan, why don't you kick off with the story?
Yeah, so I'm just catching up a little bit. It is a busy season for me, but a lot of us were hearing, what do they call it? Chatter. A lot of us were hearing chatter about this Justice for J6 rally that was happening over the weekend. And I'll be honest, everything I heard was pro-gun groups saying, well, the feds planned a party. Like everything I heard about it before the actual event was people joking about this being a Fed sting, right? That was the only thing I heard about it. Now, my guess is that someone was legitimately planning an event, but there weren't anybody. It was like Trump's head of like technology. Like it was kind of nobody planned this thing. And nobody wanted to go because then all of the buzz that, Rolling Stone did an article. I think CNN did an article. I forget who all. They're like, tensions rising about potential repeat of January 6th. They just made it sound like the scariest thing ever, that there was going to be riots and it was going to be awful. And everybody in the gun community were like, this looks like the whole thing is a big false flag plan. So nobody went. And so then the event happens. There's pictures of, and that might've been a stock picture, but it was still hilarious of, all these guys that look like feds.
Tell me you're not a Fed without telling me you're not a Fed. Picture.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many good.
See, I looked at that picture and I was like, it has to be fake. Because obviously they all look like feds. And I was just like, it can't be. It's got to be like a picture from the 90s when everyone thought that was the cool look. The feds still think the 90s are cool. I'm just saying.
Well, it's hard to tell. It might just be, but man, it was the whole thing was hilarious. Now here I'm sharing in the feed right now an article from Not the Bee.
This is the Telegram feed for those of you who aren't on the Telegram. You need to get on it. Text HERO to, what is it? 850-990-2020. 850-990-2020. Keyword is HERO, and that'll get you added to the Telegram group.
So anyway, I shared a link to there to this article on there. This is Not the Bee, which if you're not following Not the Bee, you're missing out. You need to get in on the emails. Because first of all, you're getting real news from Not the Bee. And
real news. I don't know, but I would say you're getting clearly biased the other direction news. It's all opinion pieces. None of this is news.
Well, they know that. Well, this is the reality. Here's the thing, though. It's great. This guy actually
100%. I'm with you on that. But I just wouldn't call it news, like unbiased news.
Right. Well, nothing's unbiased. I don't believe in that, except from like God can say the truth. Here's what I would say, though. This guy physically went to the rally and took pictures.
Is it the guy dressed as Batman?
Not the guy dressed as Batman. He comments about the guy dressed as Batman. And he just takes pictures. So you get a good, and by the way, you ever noticed how much news we get up close pictures of things and then they tell us a story about what was happening? I love this guy who takes these wide, not that pretty looking shots to give you a real picture of how many people were actually in the crowd. Right. So he walks through, he's like, I counted maybe 350, max 400 actual, attendees. He says press was there, and he's like hundreds and hundreds of cops, riot gear, the whole deal. He's like, all the news was making this look like it was the craziest thing ever. But other than cops there, it didn't look that scary. So really interesting. It's another example of like the media trying to hype something up and make it look like something. What was funny to me is, as we understand, the only guy that got arrested, or one of few that got arrested, ended up being an undercover cop.
Right. Because he had a weapon.
Right. So it led me to this idea. if I'm ever at something and I see somebody who I'm like, yeah, this is a Fed. I mean, how much fun would it be to go to a local cop and be like, hey man, I'm pretty sure that guy over there has a gun. Like, I mean, like, this is, and probably that's what happened. Probably was like, we'll take care of this clown. And somebody was like, he has a gun. I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think it's great. It's beautiful. Wonderful time. So that happened. Thanks everybody for not taking the Fed bait that was laid out there. Cause man, they wanted a powder keg, and hardly anybody.
Did you read the article I posted in the Telegram group about the FBI plot that was foiled by the parents of the kid who they tried to set up?
Yeah.
They tried to set him up as a mass shooter. And they're like, they know he's schizophrenic. They know he was like 20, 21, 22, somewhere in that range. His parents had guardianship over him.
Yeah.
The courts had given him guardianship. He didn't have a car, didn't have a license, didn't have anything because they love their son. And they're like, he can't take care of himself. He's a schizophrenic. And the feds gave him a car, gave him everything. They were trying to set him up to be a bomber, and they busted the feds for it. Like, how scary is that? This is our government trying to justify their own existence by setting up false flags everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not the first time.
And preying on mentally disabled people.
Yeah.
I remember when that happened. You're sharing it was the first I'd seen the feds getting in trouble for it. But I remember the news story about that going down. Like, I remember when that was happening, and it came out that, like, man, this kid had no intentions of doing this.
Until the feds basically set him up.
Yeah.
The law calls that entrapment, but I just call it evil. Here's the other thing too. I think about the January 6th thing, and, we both watched The Good Fight, and they were so like offended by this insurrection. And I'm like, wait, you guys call that an insurrection? But burning our cities to the ground, you call mostly peaceful protests? I'm like, you guys, is there any question why people thought, well, there's no way I'm getting in trouble for this? We're literally just walking into our building, our Capitol.
Yeah.
I mean, of course they didn't think they were going to get into trouble.
Well, especially some of the videos where, like, I've seen the video where they're talking to the police. And they're like, they're saying, hey, everybody, it has to be peaceful. They want to let us in, but we need to be peaceful. We need to be respectful. And you see, now I recognize that's not everybody, but Weird Buffalo Hat Guy and a few others are like, they're actually interacting with the police, and the police are, come on in, guys. And there's an agreement made. Of course, I recognize that other people were breaking windows. It's funny. Everybody who says windows were being broken, it's like, that was Antifa. Like, I've only seen,
right.
So, but talk about not an insurrection, and talk about why would they ever think they were going to get in trouble after everything else was getting a pass? Far more terrible things going on. I don't think it was a good idea for them to do what they did.
Dude, they said you had to stay 6 feet away unless you're protesting George Floyd, in which case it's all cool.
Yeah. Which, by the way, did you see? Because that, like, the unity in our nation is going to be restored through anti-vaxxers. It's going to be us and us people who are refusing to get the jab. It's going to be white people and black people that are like, I don't want them telling me what to put in my body. Right. And so, like, that's how we're going to cure racism. Right. So did you guys
they won't let it be cured. Are you kidding me?
Did you? No, this is, you got to go along with this, man. So did you guys see where there was a restaurant asking for vaccine proof, and these 3 black women beat the hostess for forcing? Like, that came out like this. I think that happened like maybe Saturday, and it was like this, and I'm like, this is amazing. Like, because I don't know if you know, but like it's typically African Americans that are very reticent to get that jab, and so you have people like me that I'm like, I'm not down with that jab, and man, I'm
not down with beating people over it. I'm down with not giving them my business and walking out. I'm totally cool with that.
I am approving of not giving business, but I can't not laugh when somebody's pushing it so hard. Like, I just can't. I'm entertained by it. I'm just being honest.
I understand where you're coming from, but I don't like where it leads, because I truly believe we're heading very fast towards a civil war. Like, I just don't see any way around it. Especially, I mean, literally, especially after Biden. Man, I cannot believe the crap that he came out and said. Yeah. In direct contradiction to what he said before. Oh, we're not going to force anyone. We don't have the right to force anyone. Oh, look at that. We found a way that we can force most people. But yet, who gets a pass? Congress staff, the post office, and all the postal employees. I mean, they were handing out passes to themselves left and right. And you're going to, like, this is the epitome of hypocrisy. Yeah. You're going to force someone else to do something, but you won't force your own house to do it. Dude, it's heading towards a civil war again.
It's happening, man. That is exactly where it's headed. Well, and then you have all this other wacky stuff going on. Like, here's what's interesting to me. We knew that our government was shooting drone missiles at children and non-combatants for years, like even back all the way to the Obama administration that was going on. And I'm glad it got some attention this time. But now this time it's like they didn't shoot at anybody who was an actual combatant. Or usually it's like, well, we killed this one terrorist and we killed 9 children, but hey, we got the terrorist. This time we're like, yeah, we didn't even kill a terrorist this time. Right. And I'm like, what in the crap? Like,
but he gets a pass. He's been getting a pass by the media and the Dems.
Keeps getting a pass. It's funny, the things that they were so angry that Trump was supposedly doing, and he might have been, he is straight doing, and they don't care. Oh, it's infuriating.
Yeah.
So anyway, lots of wild stories. We got to not go down that path too long before we, to get on another watch list. I wish watch lists were like Liberty Memes Facebook accounts, where like the plan is to get on as many of them as you can, like, because you never know which one is like the real one. And I would love to be able to have a count, like, man, what watch lists are we on, man? I would really like to know who's watching and who's listening, because I got things I'll tell them, man. I'd be like, hey, Jesus loves you and he has a plan for your life. and
what you're doing right now is straight evil.
Yeah, what you're doing right now is evil, and he is going to rain judgment on you. And yeah. Or you remember in there was some show where like the villain could talk people into killing themselves. I'm like, it was like some brilliant villain who would just talk to somebody until they were so depressed. And I'm like, we got to get that guy talking into the wiretaps. Anyway, maybe not. Don't kill yourselves. Just quit your jobs, feds. Just come and work for the good guys. We love you. Anyway, I'm going to get too spicy. So can I tell you a fun story?
Yes.
Before he gets too nervous.
Before they end up working for Gifford and then getting appointed to the to run the ATF.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I got to tell this happy story. We'll get too depressed about all this stuff. So Lake Erie Arms has I'm going to give a shout out to Truck Bowie. Truck is Vietnam. His parents are Vietnamese. He lived in California most of his life, moved to the area out here, got into guns, and just immediately became like involved at the shop, worked at the shop. They offered him a full-time job, but he was going into nursing. Just a great guy, knows his guns. Awesome. We love him to death. Truck actually got diagnosed with a rare form of cancer, and he's fighting for his life right now. Mm-hmm. So the guys at Lake Erie Arms are like, we're going to do something for Truck. And so they did this amazing benefit Saturday night. I ended up emceeing the event, but gun raffle with all kinds of guns going on, prime rib dinner, free beer. I mean, it was just beautiful free beer, part of your ticket.
I mean, it was Pabst Blue Ribbon, but whatever.
It was Bud Light, but it was, yeah. And then, so everybody's enjoying themselves, whatever. They had a Chinese raffle with all kinds of stuff, selling all this other stuff. They ended up clearing like $50,000, which is not bad for a night. Right. And everybody had a good time. So my buddy, we'll call him Bravo, call sign Bravo. Bravo didn't think he could come. Finally, at the last minute comes because we had you guys seen these Rhino revolvers? I never say the name of the company. Like, it looks like Chippewa, but like it's Chapaya or something, makes this revolver. And what they've done is they put the barrel on the bottom side. So instead of firing out of the top of the cylinder, it fires out of the bottom. Looks kind of funny, looks kind of space age, really cool though. It's an amazing gun. And we had one of those in a Nebula. It was only made for a year. It had never been shot. And we auctioned off one of those. So my buddy's like, I'm coming to that event. Not auction off. We did one of the card drawing things. He's like, I'm coming to the event just for that. Right. So last minute, he managed to stick his head in, come to the thing, gets his ticket, sits down. And so we're chatting a little bit. We're, talking. And at some point, I have to start, with the, festivities of the evening. I'm running the auctions. I'm doing this and that, making things happen. Well, he sees me from across the room. Bravo makes eye contact and is like, gives me a little signal like, hey, would you like a drink? And I'm like, man, that would be great. So I'm like, sure. So I just give him thumbs up, shake my head. So he goes and brings me a drink, carries it up. And so I'm talking as he hands this to me. And I'm like, hey, and I've already let it be known that I'm a pastor. And so I'm like, my brother in Christ, and I say his name, my brother in Christ, Bravo. Bravo brought me this drink. And I'm like, so surely God's favor is going to be upon him tonight during the drawings. Set it down.
Don't tell me he wins the drawing.
He didn't just win. We turned the thing for that gun raffle. I don't know, a minute later. I mean, it's the very next thing. I reach into, there are thousands of tickets in this thing. I mean, like, I know we had a minimum 1,500. I think we were getting up to like 2,000. I mean, there's a lot of tickets. I stick my hand in there, totally blind. I'm not looking. I pull out and it's Bravo. And I'm like, you all aren't going to believe this. But Bravo just won. I mean, you see his face light up and shirt up. Like, I mean, God just gave him favor, right? So he goes up because you have to take up your license and show them you are who you are. And then you had to go and fill out the form at the shop the next day, whatever. You couldn't take it home that night. Yep. Yeah, the 4473. So anyway, that was awesome. Well, now people are like, what can I do? And so
what can I do for you now?
So it was an interesting time. People are like, how can I get that favor? What's funny, at the beginning of the evening, I had joked that I'm like, well, I am an ordained pastor. And so if you want me to pray extra for you to win, slip me $20. Right. So I'm joking around about that. Well, then he brings me a drink and wins. And so like, that was it. So I feel like Bravo and I at church the next day had one of the best stories we've had in a while. And of course our wives are like, okay. Like they're not that amused. And I'm like, do you not understand? The chances of that are like, I mean, 1 in a couple of thousand, like, come on. It was, and it's not just that he won the very next gun. It's awesome. It was a great night.
Was it that Rhino gun?
No, unfortunately, that's not what he won.
Was it the colored Rhino, or was it
that was the one we were doing? We did that one as a separate drawing. We did that with the 52 cards, $100 a card for those. So man, they made the money on that. And yeah. Had a couple of cool things though. Had an FCP.
Because I've seen those Rhinos on Rifle Gear's website. I'm looking at the Chippa, however you say that, Rhino 357 Chapaya.
I think it's Rhino. Chapaya.
Nebula colored. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous.
It really is a pretty gun.
Oh my gosh.
It is, and you're never going to get another chance. In fact, as we were talking it up, the owner of the gun store, Brent, says, I've been trying for, I forget how long, it was a year or more. He'd been trying to get one of those. He's like, I own a gun store and I can't get that gun.
Wow.
And somebody had donated the gun. Somebody actually who had bought it, however, a couple of years ago. They only made it for a year in 2019. And this guy had it.
Which one was only made? Do you remember?
I think it's the Nebula that was only made.
It was the Nebula? Okay.
I think. I could be wrong. And whatever.
Just tell all of our Orange County people, Rifle Gear does have one. It's not the Nebula, but it's a 357 Magnum, 6-inch, black, and it's gorgeous. I mean, I've looked at this gun before and been like, I'm not even a revolver guy, and I want one.
Yeah. Well, if you shoot one of those things, you want like there. It's not just that it looks.
I want to bet it's not California compliant.
Probably not.
Nope. Not California compliant. Sorry, guys. Only buy that in Texas.
I'm not California compliant. Seriously, not sure that they would let me fly into California now. Like, sorry to my brother, sister, and sister-in-law. Love you all, but I might not be able to even get in there anymore.
I'm wondering next time I try to get on a plane, am I on a no-fly list?
Yeah,
because it doesn't take you being a criminal. They can just literally slap your name on it, and your name could be close to someone else's who's on it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Remember, Cat Stevens couldn't fly. You remember that?
No,
Cat Stevens.
Really?
Cat Stevens back in like the early 2000s had converted to Islam, which is disappointing. Converted to Islam, and he took on some name, like one of the, Muhammad Ali something, right?
Right.
And whatever it was, I guess, the same name as some terrorist. And so because he had changed his name to that name, they wouldn't let Cat Stevens on the plane. And so I'm like, man, cat's in the cradle, man.
Wow.
Yeah, that's I'm sure they worked that out eventually, but technically his name was on there. Like, I'm sorry, man, you can't fly. Thought that was funny and a little bit sad. Yeah. So I'll find out next week. I'm flying. Is it next week? Yeah, next week I'm flying. So we'll see if
so you hope.
I hope. If you don't, I'm gonna lose out on all the money on that event I'm supposed to go to. So
is it in the country or out of the country?
It's in the country, and it's in the South. So I'm not flying into anywhere that's too crazy. We'll see how it goes.
We're going to have to start an airline just for Freedom Nation.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
Like, you need to get someplace. We know you're on a no-fly. Come fly with us. We're privately owned. We can fly whoever we want. There you go.
We should get no fly in the name. We're like the no fly.
What if the only way you could fly our airline is if you're on a no-fly list?
That would be awesome. Well,
except we probably would get all the terrorists. Small hiccup,
That's all right. Well, we would have planes just for that purpose, where we're flying along and be like, oh, it's clear. Good to see you guys on the plane. And then you just got the pilots have parachutes, and you got some way to make sure that plane, doesn't go anywhere. And
all you got to do, if they really wanted to fix hijacking on planes, instead of having a door, you'd have a wall. Like, you would have a separate way for pilots to get in. Now you can't be hijacked.
Yeah. It's good. I like that idea.
It's not even a hard thing to do. It's just like, you'd have to do a new plane design, obviously, but still, that's how you fix it.
Man, Pete, it's a wonder that they don't come to us for more solutions.
I tell you, we got them all.
Yeah, man, we can fix the market. We can do all kinds of stuff. Of course, they wouldn't want our help. So anyway, that's what's going on there.
Did you post that video in the Telegram group? I don't know if I saw it from you or I saw it on Instagram, and I was just laughing so hard. I didn't. I know I didn't post it. So Biden's at the White House. Probably got off Marine One or something like that. They got a Secret Service agent in front of him, a Secret Service agent behind him. And he's going to his office, going to the Oval Office. And he's walking, and they got this comedic overlay. And I remember there was profanity in it. That's why I didn't want to share it. Because the comedic overlay is like, he's walking to the office, and they're like, okay, yeah, we're just going to do it like we normally do. One Secret Service agent in front, one Secret Service agent behind. And then the Secret Service agent gets to where the path turns, like it does a right angle, and he's supposed to go that way to go get to his office. But Biden just keeps walking, and now he's off the path, and he's on the grass. And the Secret Service is, oh, well, I guess I got to keep walking straight. Right? Got to be in front of him. And the overlay is like, screw it. Only they don't say screw it. Screw it. Just go wherever he goes, right? And he goes up all the way around on the grass to finally get to his office. Like, oh, look at that. Hot dog. He found another way to his office. It was just comedy, man.
I have seen that one. I can't remember if I shared it on the group, but I saw it, and it is hilarious.
All I remember is I was dying when I saw it, and I was like, oh, geez. If there wasn't the profanity in it, I'd probably be sharing this one.
Yeah.
But I've actually been trying to stop sharing stuff on Facebook and Instagram. So I haven't shared anything on Instagram in a while. The only thing that I've shared on Facebook in the last couple of weeks is my buddy from College Dying, which we talked about last week. And I think this last weekend or something like that, I just put up his memorial service information. That's it. Like in the last 2 weeks, because I'm sitting there going, one day I'm going to find myself in court and they're going to be like, have you seen his Facebook feed? And so I'm trying to like tone it all down.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm probably in a similar spot, but I'm screwed no matter which direction they come from me, man. So I'm thinking about like, we homeschool. They hate that. Right. I'm vocal about freedom. They hate that. I'm a pastor that really believes the Bible. Like I believe that homosexuality is a sin and that transgenderism is wrong. And like, I've got all these things. I mean, they just hate me for so much. So I'm like, I could probably try to scrub, but there's so much out there. And then I'm also known for stuff. Like even if I didn't have my own presence on there, I'm known for so much stuff. I'm connected. Like, I mean, my name is, I build a website for a gun store, right? Like, like I've got ways in which I'm connected to a lot of things. So I might just end up going out on a social media blaze of glory. Like if they're going to take me, they're going to take me while I'm memeing.
Well, that's the thing is if all of a sudden we see our Telegram group grow by like 100 to 200 people all of a sudden at once, we know they're all feds going in there to check out the memes.
That's right. Oh, that's the way it goes.
Just waiting for that to happen next.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh, well, hello, Mr. Officer.
Have you guys ever thought about, fill in the blank?
Well, speaking of that, I actually have two things in which I'm a little bit concerned that like, well, first one ended up, I think we're okay, but there's a group in Northeast Ohio here. I shared on the feed. I think it's like Northeast Ohio Families for Freedom and Fun. And like, it's a real I mean, they're locked down. And so it's real cagey how you join. Like they're big on like, you are not allowed to forward emails. You are not allowed to share anyone's name in the group. And then you send it all to our Telegram group. Well, no, that part you can share. So you're allowed to share that thing to invite you. But I mean, that's all that does is give people an email address for a Proton Mail group where you can essentially email them to join. But when you get on there, they're like, we want you to email us your name, phone number, and county that you live in, which I understand why they want all that. But I'm like, I don't know you. Like, this sure sounds like a Fed sting. So I sent the first email and I was like, my name is Leroy Christensen and I gave him the county that I live in. And then I forget what else I said. And then I'm like, this better not be a sting operation to see who's not going to be wearing masks. And I get an automatic response and it has a verse and it has some good things. And I'm like, okay, this is a good sign. Well, then they email me like a personal email. We interact a little bit. I'm like, okay, I think you guys are all right. Here's my real name. Like, I'm a pastor. Let me know how I can help. And they were like, dude, you were so easy to win your trust. I still wouldn't trust them. Share a couple of verses in context. It doesn't matter. That was all I did. You don't think they have analysts? Feds can't exegete scripture very well. Dude, I'm telling you, they have people who can. I'm sure they do. So anyway, they've got my information. But here's the other thing. So I follow Dollar Vigilante on Instagram. Dollar Vigilante is worth checking out. Like he's essentially kind of a crypto guy. Also just a big on like, hey, the Federal Reserve is shady. Interesting dude. So you know about this? Dude, are you talking about the $1 trillion coin? I'm bringing that up next. Go ahead with your story. Okay. So no, this guy, so I'm following his page and like, he's like, he follows me back. The page does. And we've, liked each other's comments here and there. So like, there's a little bit of a connection there, but he's got 27,000 followers. He's not massive, but way bigger than me. And so like, I don't expect a whole lot of interaction. So he messages me from his personal Instagram feed, right? Which is a private account. And sends me a couple of messages and I'm like, oh, cool. I know this guy's name. This is his personal account, right? We're messaging back and forth. I'm starting to wonder, this dude is just a little quiet and cagey. And I'm like, I feel like he's asking questions that don't seem like he's legit. So this might be a scam or it might be a Fed. So anyway, I'll let you know how that goes. Or if you just don't see me next week, it's been real. So.
Yeah. So no, what I was talking about, if you Google $1 trillion coin, first article that comes up, Business Insider. So basically, the Republicans are saying we're not raising the debt ceiling. And they're like, well, how are we going to pay for everything that Biden wants? Oh, wait.
I've heard of this. Go ahead.
Whoever mints the coins, I can't even remember who mints the coins. They have under law a loophole where they could mint a $1 trillion coin and deposit it at the Federal Reserve. And then the feds can go on paying their bills as usual. And I'm like, if that doesn't scream how fake our money is, nothing does. You mean I can just create a coin, deposit it? Oh, and now we don't need to raise the debt ceiling because we just put another $1 trillion on deposit with the feds who are paying our bills. Like it just shows you how fake our money is. Our money is so fake.
Yeah.
Backed by nothing.
The only thing holding it together right now is the perception that it has value. But more and more people are like, what the heck? This is where like the cracks in the dam of the United States, well, just the entire country, the cracks in the dam are all over the place. This is one big one. It's the Federal Reserve and the people realizing that like this is meaningless money. And then I'm being taxed to pay for something that just keeps getting worse, right? And then you have now as cryptocurrencies are coming along, and they don't exactly fix the problem, but people recognize there's other ways. I mean, if the American dollar is already fake, I can have other means of exchange that at least function. And I don't really need the dollar that much anymore. And so as this kind of stuff comes along, we're just seeing the little cracks in the dam. And now more and more people are distrusting the media. We saw the Nicki Minaj comment, which still is like amazing to me that like, I mean, pastors, I know.
What was her actual comment?
Well, she tweeted a Tucker Carlson clip.
Oh, wow.
That was the big thing that got the left like flipping out on her. And here's what's interesting. The whole idea of listening to Black voices, hearing what they have to say, Twitter has like limited her account now. So like they're literally limiting her platform. Yeah, it's shady. But then she's made comments about like, I should be able to share whoever I want to. And why is it? And then her big thing was like, her comment was something like, why is it the Democrats always want us Black people to do certain things? And then when we question it, now we're the bad guys and you hate us. And like the comment, like her interaction after the initial sharing is what really was driving some interesting things. Because the left flips out of her sharing Tucker Carlson, but now she's interacting and saying like, why do you want us Black people to do certain things that then we're not allowed to ask questions about? And that one, I feel like that was like, oh, she's getting it. Like, like she's getting this. I don't approve of this woman, but she's getting this.
Like we really saw it in California with our recall election when they started, and I kid you not, maybe you saw this. They started calling Larry Elder the new face of white supremacy.
Yes, I remember that.
Like,
yeah.
When you do that, we know that, first of all, racism as you're portraying it isn't real, and you're just using it to control people because he's about as Black as they come. Grew up in South Central. Come on, dude. He's Black.
What's clearly happening is racism. He's not fitting in with what they want the Black voter base to do. And so just the plain facts. The Democrat Party has been manipulating and controlling the Black vote for a long time, not in its entirety, but in a large measure. And people are like, what? You guys have only treated us like crap. And men, what would be nice is if the Republicans would get their act together and start making some connection with the Black vote better than they have. It's a wild time.
No, it was funny in Jesse Lee Peterson's Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson's book Scam. How the Black Leadership Exploits Black America. Really good book, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He brings up a quote. I believe it was Al Sharpton. It was either Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson said, and he was talking to someone, yelling in the media at someone saying the black vote isn't for sale. In other words, you Republicans can't buy our vote. And Reverend Jesse Lee Peterson goes, no kidding, it's not for sale. It's already been bought and paid for. He goes, if you really wanted to have political power, you wouldn't align yourself with one political group like the Democrats or the Republicans. You would stay neutral and you'd be like, you want our support as a black community? What are you going to give us?
Mm-hmm.
And whoever it is, Republicans, Democrats, we don't care. We just want stuff, whatever it is. And I was like, he's got a point, man. He's got a real point right there.
Yep. Man. Well, speaking of Larry Elder, by the way, did you see? Now, none of this, I probably never will be substantiated one way or the other, because it's going to get squashed so quickly. But did you see Candace Owens was sharing? People were tweeting her during the recall election, saying that they went in to vote and were told that they'd already voted, and they're like, I didn't already vote, and like not a small number, like that there was enough. Yeah,
we've seen that, but the reality is, like, even with the cheating that goes on. And by the way, I don't believe that either side is innocent on the cheating at all.
I agree on that.
A friend of mine was telling me that his wife totally goes, oh, I totally believe there's cheating. She goes, I believe that's how Trump won the first time. They cheated. And he goes, and the Democrats were just like, okay, well, we can do better than you. And they've totally upped the ante, and now they're cheating the other way. First of all, we already know, I mean, whether everyone likes to agree with it or not, we know there was fraud in the last presidential election. Yeah. They've come out and said it. There was fraud. And then they go, but it wasn't enough to change the results. And by the way, we're not going to let you do any recounts. I mean, that's basically what's happened, right?
And then just trust us.
Just trust us. It wasn't enough to change it.
Just there was like fraud. We said it did.
Yeah, but not enough. And but here's the thing. California is 2/3 Democrat. Like, it didn't matter. The Republicans weren't going to win because it just comes down party lines. I mean, they're going to vote no on the recall. See, the reason why they recalled Gray Davis back when that was our, that's how we got Arnold in, right? Two reasons why Gray Davis got recalled. Number one, he literally tripled everyone's car tax. So now you have every single person in the state going, wait a second, I now have to pay 3 times the car tax to pay for all your crap. This doesn't work for me. We had rolling blackouts because we have to take care of the little squirrel or whatever it is, and we can't build any infrastructure. And so we had rolling blackouts at the time. So people were fed up. Then you have a name brand guy like Arnold Schwarzenegger, who's technically a Republican, but really is a Democrat in deed and thought. And it was like, yeah, we can get rid of this guy and put, the Terminator in. Let's do it. And that's why they did it. I mean, it was not, and we didn't have that this time. There is no Terminator running. And as bad as everything was in COVID, it's over now. Like, if they had done it while we were still under lockdown,
we might have been able to pull it off.
It might have been. Like, I'm a firm believer, if you have a hair salon or a nail salon and you voted no on the recall, you're an idiot because you were hit the hardest. But at the same time, I'm sitting there wondering, well, how many of them are even legal to vote? And then at the same time, it's like, but it is California. Do they even care? Because they let illegals vote here. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. I'm torn. I have no idea.
Man, it's what's going to happen? I don't understand why people don't take their freedoms more seriously. The fact that, I mean, I guess it's just what it is that you have a strong Democrat base out there, but I probably was hoping too much. I didn't think it was going to happen, but I was hoping that Larry Elder would take it. I just was hoping.
Well, we all were.
We all were. Yeah.
But I had to sit down with my wife. I don't know if I told you this yet. I had to sit down with my wife. I said, hon, we keep saying, yeah, maybe things will get better here. I'm like, but we can't wait for the other shoe to drop and then go, okay, we're finally going to leave.
Yeah.
I go, we need to plan as if we're leaving next summer. That gives your mom enough time to prepare mentally that she's going to be leaving. She can sell her house, do whatever. Let's go visit the places we're thinking about moving, but we'll just plan. Next summer, we're selling the houses and we're getting the heck out of Dodge.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Larry Elder loses, and it's like there's no shot. There's no shot.
That timeline up, man.
Yeah. I would if I could, but this is like the best I can get, I think.
I know, man. I understand.
The plan as if.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is like people are leaving the state so fast that the housing market's going to eventually take some kind of a hit, I'm assuming. Maybe it already is. And so you want to go while you can still get your money's worth for your house.
That's why I'm going to be pissed if it does crash between now and then. Cause I'm like, I want to go pay for a house with cash and have no mortgage payment. And I can do that at these current prices, but a year from now, I don't know. Don't know what the prices will be then.
Yep. Oh man, you had me thinking. You reminded me of something else here, and I've lost it. But there was something else related to all this that popped into my mind, and I've lost it now. I'm sorry. One of my gals that I work with, she's a real estate coaching. She runs a real estate coaching company, and she was saying that the day after the election, one of her clients who works in Idaho had 8 calls from people in California looking to move. It was like, we got no shot. Let's just get out. Let's just leave. Don't blame him.
Yeah. That's what we got to do.
One of the things that's interesting to me, this is what I meant to mention. We were talking about cracks in the dam before. They're especially bad with California. But one of the things that's happening is people are starting to notice hey, and if you're like me, you'll have your doctor that you've talked to, maybe a couple of other doctors that are like, hey, eat healthy, whatever, maybe you don't need that vaccine, and you certainly don't need to be wearing a mask all the time. That's bad for you. And so some of us remember having these conversations with our doctors, right? And so then we watch the news and we see contradictions. They're disagreeing with maybe your family doctor, or maybe your family doctor is all pro-vaccine, pro-mask, whatever. But most of the medical professionals I know of, or at least a good portion of them, are like, man, you really don't want to be wearing a mask all the time. That's really not good for you. It's not what these are designed for. Similar, this vaccine doesn't match the normal testing, right? It's just a little different, and maybe it's fine, maybe it's good, but don't feel like you have to. We're getting different messages there than we are, from Dr. Fauci. And of course, we don't get the same one from him anyway. What was really sobering to me is watching that video on the FDA website or on the FDA YouTube channel. I don't know if I have not even finished it all, but when you have doctor from MIT, another rep from the FDA, and they keep coming on saying we are really concerned about the virus seems to be, mutating, and we seem to have the worst cases of it where the boosters are the highest, right? And they're just I'm thinking that these boosters are really not a good idea. And I'm watching them this is actually the FDA saying that
Fauci was kind of pissed that the FDA would not approve booster shots.
And so here we have, now we're in a time where there's this public push for booster shots, while the federal organization that tells us whether something's safe, which has already been a little loose in our opinion, is now even they're I don't know about these boosters, man. And as we see now this push where it's this just doesn't even line up with what the FDA is saying. Now, I'm sure somebody's going to, put some pressure on the FDA over there so that they change their tune.
Right.
I mean, I think that's what's going to happen. But I'm drawing attention to this because anybody who can remember back more than a month or two has stuff like this where they're they told us one thing. Now we're being forced to do the opposite. And as that kind of stuff happens, I think that the cracks in the dam just get worse and worse. And so, here's what I was going to say, everybody. The other thing that's big that's coming out is we're supposed to, I think, is it next week that we're supposed to get the audit results from Arizona. The thing I'm going to say is don't take the bait. I keep hearing some good, well-minded people saying like, hey, there is going to probably come a time for some action. Don't react, don't riot. Don't be stupid. Don't take the bait that they want to, like this past Saturday, the feds were baiting for something to happen like January 6th so that they can do more restrictions. Don't take the bait. And that's kind of where I'm at on all of these things. Don't take the bait. Take it seriously. Look at what's going on. Gently disobey if you need to, but don't go rioting. Don't go stupid stuff. Like, be prepared, be smart. Don't take the bait. That's the word of the day, everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, that was all I had for today. Pete, you got anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. So, check out Lake Erie Arms, learms.net. More good, exciting things happening. Appreciate those guys. Appreciate you all listening. It's always fun.
All right, guys. We'll talk to you later. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You've been listening to the From Concealment Podcast with Pete Mitchell and Dan Sams. Be sure to tune in next week for more gun talk. Also, check out the From Concealment website for more shooting-related goodness at FromConcealment.com.